Welcome to Two Humans Talking, the podcast that talks about what it really takes to be healthy and stay healthy in this modern, fast paced world. I'm your host, Tiffany Simms, and I'm with Darla Bishop today. We are going to talk about how to afford everything and kind of ask the question of why are you waiting to live? And so I'm really excited for this conversation. She is such a bright light. Just our time behind the scenes together has been so wonderful. I can't wait for you to meet her. Darla, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I cannot wait to get into this conversation.
Yes, ma'am. Before we do my favorite question, tell us who you are, what you do, where you live, like what makes you sparkle uniquely you in this world.
Hey, everybody, I am Dr. Darla Bishop. Please say the doctor, not you, just other people. And I currently live in Michigan. I'm actually a military spouse. So we live here now, but the Army might have something to say about that in 2025. We'll see. I am the mom of two kids, wonderful kids, 4 and 6, and I have jobs. I work as a health insurance executive. I am a professor part-time of health policy. And my probably most favorite way I spend time is I've been promoting my book, How to Afford Everything, and going on the road and doing speeches and workshops about money because I believe that we all have the power to afford everything. We just have to know how to do it.
That is so cool. Like, I think you're a cool person. Such that's like the 10-year-old in me is like, do you want to be my friend? Because
Yes,
I
I
think you're
agree.
so much fun and you do lots of cool things and you have good energy. So we're friends now. But seriously, how did we get here? Like, how did you go from you got to have your doctorate? You're an executive. You live in Michigan. You shared with me that you're coming to DC because you work here too. You write a book. Like, how does all of that come to be? And how do you do it all?
Oh, there's so many answers to that. And I think the most important answer is growing up, we went through a lot of stuff, like a lot. Like, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna just say it.
Just
I've
say it.
had a crackhead daddy and a jailbird mama. And the people around me, luckily, I can only remember maybe one or two people saying that my future was not bright. Just like so, even though we had all that stuff going on, all the people around me were like, "Oh, you're smart. You can have whatever kind of life you want. I believe in you. You believe in you, and that's the most important thing." And when it came time for me to go to college, my mom was in prison, and I was living with her sister. And I remember sitting on her bed and being like, "Can I still go to college? Like that's the thing that's on my list. Can I still go?" And she was like, "Baby, you can go to as much college as you want. We will figure out how to get you there." I said, "Okay, cool." So I took that to heart, and that's how I ended up with a doctorate many years later. But what happened is, as I was walking through life on the big blue marble, I kept encountering these people who had a completely different and what I would think is healthier relationship with money. And so
Mm.
what that showed me is that it was possible. The folks around me were doing the best that they could. They just didn't have enough money and the skills they had were really calibrated to live without money. But the people I was meeting at college and at summer programs and in graduate school, they knew how to use money in a way that was a way to live with it. And I was like, oh, the skills aren't that different. They just have to be kind of reordered. And so I started reading books because I wanted to understand money better, because I also knew that my future was going to look really different than my past, in that the grown-ups around me when I was growing up, they had factory jobs, right? Hourly jobs, some union, some not. But I was going to be a salaried person. I would potentially maybe own my own company or be in charge of a big company. And so I needed to understand money differently. And the teenagers around me in college, they couldn't answer my questions. And so LeVar Burton, when I was a little kid on Reading Rainbow, told me, if you ever have a question, look in a book. And so I went to the library. The campus had
Reading
library.
Rainbow.
Exactly. Exactly. Take a look. It's
It's in a book on Reading Rainbow.
exactly. And so I started reading books about money, and I ended up reading more than 100 because none of them got it exactly right for me.
Yeah.
Like I had to understand like how to help my mom, because when my mom came out of prison when I was still in college, she needed adjustment time. She needed help. My siblings were still at home, And all the books I read told me don't help any family members, don't loan any money, don't give any money while you're trying to secure your own financial situation. I was like, that don't work for me. Because if my mama or my sister or my brother calls me for something, I'm going to figure out how to get it to them. Right. Or if I had to understand money completely differently, very few, like there's like 6.5, 7.5. And I say half because there's a book that almost gets you there, but just lets you down at the last minute, that tells you where to start and where to go next if you're not exactly sure where to start and where to go next. And so that's why I ended up writing my own book, because I was like, what if there's other people like me who are like, I can have a completely different life. I just need somebody to show me how.
Right.
Who's
And I need the blueprint for the life that I'm in to get move from where I'm at with the circumstances that I have. Like, what bumper guards do I need to put in place? How do I protect myself while doing this without isolating my family? Because like my situation's different. I love that you said that your family members, I like you said it so brilliantly, like their skill set was how to make nothing work. And you're right, like that is a skill set. Survival is a set of skills that those who have enough, even if it feels tight, do not understand. Like you can
Yeah.
make stuff happen out of nothing
Out
when
of nothing,
free,
baby.
like
Woo.
so creative, right? And then you also shared like comparing it to the skills. God, I love skills because skills mean I can learn them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like I had to be born with it. I didn't have to have a certain advantage in life. It just means I can learn it. And then you said like these people who were doing different things with money and they were living with money, they had a different set of skills in how they saw money and used it. And so, I love that you brought the word skill into it rather than like my crackhead daddy, my jailbird mommy, and like my family who knew how to make nothing out of nothing. Like, and how, because there's such a heaviness to that, especially when you want something different. And I just love that you appreciated the skills that were required to make it work. I just think that's so beautiful.
And I don't mean to be pejorative or negative about my parents either, because they did dang on good for a crackhead and a jailbird. Like even the lessons that they shared about what to do, about what not to do, about how life is hard, about how life is unfair, have served me super well. So please don't take anyone who's listening like, I can't believe she called her parents that.
No.
It's a thing.
You know what else I think is beautiful? And that especially, so I'm assuming we're the same age because you sung Raining Rainbow and I was right there with you. So I just turned 40 this year.
Oh yeah, my next birthday will be 40.
So we're right in the same area. And I think that a lot of our peers we're like in this age of like blaming our parents for our childhood and our trauma, big T and little t, and like how they messed everything up. And I'm with you in that, like, they did the best they could with the resources and cards they were dealt. And I also have no idea what they overcame in order to give me the life and the skills that came my way. So, of course, there's things that I need to do differently because you learn better, you do better. But to think that my parents didn't do that in their own way, I think is just ignorant. And so I absolutely love that you just brought light to that conversation.
Yeah. And I mean, you said they did the best they could. They did better than they should have been able to, is really the true story. Like, my siblings, between the three of us, we have like 18 degrees. Like, everybody pays their own rent. Nobody lives in my basement. Because one of the reasons, if I'm completely honest with you, that I was so focused on learning about money is I wanted to make sure I could teach my siblings about money so they wouldn't live in my basement. There's always space. There's always space.
I
And
love the honesty.
and no, I don't want you to live here. So like, can you pay your own rent? Okay, good.
I love the honesty of that. That's that's real. So how did you learn how to, like, I know you said like you read the 100 books, you went to school, you surrounded yourself with people that were doing things a little bit differently than you had been raised to see how to do them. How did you really learn? Hold on. We're gonna, there we go. how did you really learn how to afford everything?
Well, so what's so funny, and the reason I named it such a bold title is I wanted people to pick it up. And people who see the title say, "Oh, is this about materialism or consumerism?" I'm like, sure, open it up, see what you think. And it's really about understanding the things that matter most to you and organizing your life, including your money, around that. And that if you figure out that however your life is organized doesn't match the thing that matter to you most, and or you don't have enough money to do the things that you really want to do or need to do, that you go figure out how to make the money work. And there's really only two ways to fix your money, right? You either make more of it or you spend less of what you have. And the way that you do that and the order that you do that and the way that you prioritize starts actually in here in your heart. And so in the very first chapter, because as a reader, I know how people read books. Like I jump right in and say, "Hey, we're going to have some real money talk. I need to ask you some questions about what you think about money and why you think that way and why you feel that way and why you treat money the way you do and why money treats you the way it treats you."
Mm,
And then they go to chapter 2 and I say, "Okay, the other thing we got to figure out is we got to know your numbers because like 9 times out of 10 when someone comes to me about their money, I think I want it to do better. I want to feel better. I'm tired of feeling broke and sad and like just about the money. Is like I'm like, "Okay, well, how much does it cost you to live your life?" "Well, I don't know, more than I have." I say, "Nope, that's not a number. I need a
that's
number.
not gonna work.
That's not a number. I need a number." And so like just literally going through the process of checking your bank accounts, your Venmo feed, your credit card statements to see what money left your body, your wallet, your home, so that you can understand what it truly costs you to live and have an easy week, an easy month. And then you go after that number. And even that awareness, bringing people to that level of awareness is transformational because so much of it is like, I don't even want to look. I'm not,
Yeah.
I just know it doesn't feel good.
I
And I
know
say,
that there's not enough. I know that I'm stressed about it. I know that if I look, then I'm gonna have to make sacrifices that I don't want to make. But so many people don't even know. And I used to be one of these people, and I had never really thought about like needing to know what the core number was to know what my career and income needed to be. Right. And it's like, actually, how much does it cost to keep a roof over your head each month? How much legitimately are your groceries every month? How much is your gas? Like those core necessities, like how much is it if you did nothing else in your life? Is it for you to live? And then like what's your comfy stuff? And then like
Mhm.
what for me it was like what is your I need this number in the bank account so I never have to question if I can like swipe my card. And okay, well if I multiply that by 12, what does my income need to be? And that was
Right.
eye opening to
Eye
me.
opening. And what we figure out most of the time is that the person's actually very close or they already have it if we shift some things around. And for me, when I went through this process, I was in, I don't know, I think I must have been a junior in college
Good for
because
you.
I knew I was going to I wanted to go to graduate school and I wanted to be able to go to graduate school anywhere in the country because I wasn't sure where I was going to go. And my mom had just came home from prison that summer before junior year and I was like, "Okay, so my mom is in my budget, um I'm in the budget and I need to make sure I think it was like I want to have $5,000 in my savings account by the time I graduate because I'm not going to let money keep me from the school I want to go to because I had a scholarship that would go with me to as long as it was in the continental United States and as long as I went straight to graduate school. So I had a scholarship that would go with me to graduate school, but I was like, but I'm gonna need a U-Haul truck and first month's rent and something to get there. And my parents love me, but they ain't got nothing else. They give me a hug and well wishes, but they can't write any checks for any of this. And so when I was like, okay, if I have this goal, this is how much it costs me to live. How much do I need every week? And it turns out I only needed like $200 more a week to make all of those things happen, to help my mom, to pay my rent, to buy my books, to be able to say yes when my friends invited me somewhere, and to put my money away so that when I was ready to get the hell out of Michigan, I could get the hell out of Michigan. And so I went and found a job, right? I think I was waiting tables and working on campus somewhere. And then whenever something changed and I needed to make the adjustment, I just did the math again. And it made it so easy to know exactly how much I needed to work, how much I could and couldn't spend, how much I could and couldn't say yes.
I think that is so good. And one of the things that really stands out to me that I don't hear a lot of people talk about is, I'll backtrack it a little bit. When you go into financial coaching or you start surrounding yourself with like the gurus and the experts and you start learning about financial literacy and getting yourself set up for long-term success and generational wealth and things like that, a lot of times they talk about cutting off your family and all of the drains and all of the toxic lines that weren't yours that are keeping you from where you're going. And the thing that aligns with my heart and my soul that you said was like you factored that into your monthly expenses as to what your baseline number needed to be, and then if you wanted to create more than that, like where you needed to go. And I think that is so brilliant, because to say that you're not going to worry that your family doesn't have food on the table is stupid.
Mm.
Now, is that to say that you should fund your cousin every time that they come by asking for a few bucks because their check didn't clear and they need this or that when you know they're buying drugs? No. Like, we're not feeding people's drug addictions. But like that like baseline of like, no, like they set me up the best they can. I want to make sure that I set them up the best I can within reason. So they're part of the budget.
Right. And I had something at that time that they didn't. I had access to all types of jobs being on campus. I could side hustle, I could do things for money that were totally legal and easy. And so I had ways to bring money in quickly and lots of different ways and lots of different options. And they didn't have that in the same way. So why not expand and put it in the budget? Because I know I did the math, like my mom seemed to have like 150, $175 every month that she needed. It's not, she never called and asked for $175, but she'd be like, "Oh, the dues for football are due. Could you help with a little? Yeah, how much are they? Sure, no problem, I'll send it." Or, prom's coming up and your sister really likes this dress and it costs this much. Oh, I can go on half on it or whatever, right? And after a few months, I realized like, oh, it seems like she has this shortfall of right around $175. And so the next time she called me, and she called, I don't remember why she called me this time. She said, "Hey." And I said, "Oh, I'm so glad you called. I've been meaning to talk to you." And she was like, "Uh-oh." But I heard it in her voice where she thought I was going to like give her a lecture and be like, "I'm cutting you off and stop calling me for money." And I was like, "Okay, you just asked me for money. I'll send it. It'll be there in 2 days. Like, don't worry, you'll have that." And I noticed that it seems like you have like you need like $175 every month. She's like, "I know, I'm sorry, I keep out." I'm like, "No, I'm glad you're calling. It's not a problem. It's no problem." I said, "But it is a problem because I am trying to work really hard to like get my budget and to save my money so I can move if I go to grad school somewhere else. Do you um mind if I take over a bill? Like, do you have a bill that's $175 or something like that?" Because sometimes you call me and it's not on the right payday or it's not the day that I've worked at the restaurant. And so I have to move money and it's just kind of like annoying. And I'm not saying you're annoying. I'm just saying the process is kind of annoying, or I can't get the money to you right then. But if you're in my budget, if I pay a bill, I'm never going to miss paying a bill, and maybe that'll give you enough room so that you don't have to call as much. And she was like, "Okay, yeah, my car insurance is actually right around there. It's like 177." I said, "Perfect. Is it already paid for this month?" She said, "Yeah, it's paid." I said, "Great. Send me a copy of the bill in the mail, and it will be starting next month. It's my bill. Like, you don't pay it anymore. It belongs to me." She was like, "Okay." I said, "And you can't call me for money unless it's really, truly, like really an emergency." And she was like, "Oh, okay. Sounds fair. How many jobs are
Your
you going?"
emotional intelligence in this conversation is absolutely impeccable. Like, such a high, I can feel and hear the emotional intelligence. It takes a strong and clear woman to hold space for herself, for her loved ones, and have a conversation like that. I just think that's so cool.
It was that, or or it wasn't work like it was stressing me out. And I was like, hold up, of all the things I have been through, I'm not stressing out over a couple $100 every month. I can go make that on a Friday night at the restaurant. Why am I stressed about this? And I got down to it. Part of the reason I was stressed about it is because I didn't always know when the
The
request was.
unpredictability.
Right. And like so, and I'm going to say yes because these were never unreasonable requests. They were never unreasonable requests. And I know that it probably took my mom all types of like physical and mental gymnastics to even pick up the phone to call. Right? Like imagine you're a grown ass woman and you're calling your child that you raised who's doing all the right things by being away at school, and you're calling to ask for money. That probably does not feel great. That's probably not an awesome feeling. You probably feel like a 10-cent stamp if you got to that point, right? And so, what does it do for me to be rude or unkind or mean about it? I'm just like, hey, this isn't working. I want to be helpful. And the best way I can be helpful is if I make you a bill. So, you are a bill now. Which is the bill? And that worked for 10 years. 10 years, it worked perfectly. It gave her the room. I knew which day I had to pay. I knew how many shifts I needed to work or how much money I needed to earn. She got the wiggle room. I got to release the stress, but also still help in a way that felt good because it did not work for me to say no. It did not work for me to not answer the phone. That's not real life.
Mm. I just, I am speechless, which doesn't happen often. I think there's so many gold nuggets in what you just shared. You shared, we talked about budgeting. We talked about seeing the world through someone else's lens. Talked about self-awareness of like actually what of that self-reflection of like what about this is actually bothering me so I can address the thing, not just the symptoms. Coming up with a plan and sharing that in a way that was mutually beneficial. Like you painted the story and the ending in a way that would be appealing, not like to your mom, while also serving your own needs. Like there are so many high performance traits in that story that you just shared that are just absolutely like the basis that every single one of us need to lean into to get to our next level and unlock the thing that we're stuck in. You talk about like before we hit go, like why are you waiting to live? And for so many people, it's because they don't know how to do exactly what you just shared, which is identify, really get down to the root of it, hold space, respect the space, figure out where your line in the sand is, and have a hard conversation.
Yep. But I'll tell you a secret, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
So true. It's so true. It's why I think it's, I mean, as someone who's gone through all those steps, I'm sure you could recognize it. But maybe if you haven't gone through those steps, you're probably like, why did you call out Darla's emotional intelligence and like look all awestruck and calm and just at peace with that? If you're watching on YouTube, might have seen my body shift. And it's because as a healed person, and someone who learned all those skills herself and learned how to be grounded and have those kind of conversations, you recognize it in other people's stories and it makes you feel a certain kind of way.
Yeah, it's almost like, you've heard of trauma bonds. It's kind of like a healed bond. Like, ooh, I'm talking to another healed person.
You're like,
They've done the
we
work.
can have real conversations. We can be real friends because, like, I know that conversations, even on a hard day, will lead to solutions. And it's safe to fall apart with you because I know you're not going to try to fix me or tear me apart or commiserate with me, but you're going to hold space for me to out loud process it so that in 20 minutes, like, I'm on the track and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say, like, if you need to cry first, call your other friend. And when you're like a little further in the process and you're ready to problem solve, I'm the one.
I
I'm the
almost
one.
spit out my protein shake at you. Right?
Like go cry.
So
Like
you
that's an
can
important part of the
recognize it.
process. Yes.
You
But like
recognize
I'm
it in other
I'm gonna be like,
people.
I'm not, I can't with you right now. I love you. Call your friend you cry to. And then once you get to a better place, I'm here.
I am here to
We're making a
strategize with
plan.
you.
Yes. But I can't listen to you cry. It's not gonna work for me. It's not.
Self awareness. I like another quality that I look for in people I want to be friends with, right? Like, do you have self-awareness? Do you know where your strengths and your weaknesses are? Do you know where your triggers are? Are you able to communicate those with other people in a way where there's mutual territory to like grow from,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
right?
we'll see.
Like,
Mhm.
those are really like when I think about like the two things we wanted to talk about today, how can I afford everything and why are you waiting to live? It really does boil down to these core identity traits. Like, are you capable of becoming the person who can be grounded and logical, learn the skills that you need to learn to achieve whatever it is that's on your heart?
And part of it too is you got to deal in the present, right? Like so many of the money books I read talked so much about your past. Like, okay, you are where you are because of bad decisions you've made. And
I can't
for,
change it.
first of all, like, actually, it wasn't none of my decisions. Like, I made like, since I've been a grown up, my decisions have been top notch. I am like really living the dream, okay? But when I was growing up and I was dealing with other people's decisions, but I still had to deal with them. I still had to resolve, pay those debts, have obligations in terms of caring for my family that I decided were important for me to keep and to maintain. And then other books always talk about your future. Well, make sure you're saving for your future. Make sure that you're paying off debt so your future self doesn't have to take care of it. Make sure you're putting away for retirement and for emergency. But so few of them talked about my present. Like, I recognize through a lot of therapy. So if you're not in therapy, if you can't tell that this body and this brain has gone through a lot of therapy, you should go to therapy. It's great. Find you somebody you like, and if you don't like them, change them up.
Yeah,
The
therapists are like dating.
right.
You go on a few dates with them. If it's not a fit, like find go to the next.
Go to the next one. Like, it's no problem. But like, so few of the books I read helped me deal with my present. And what I recognize is like, wait. I can't be dealing with debts and past obligations and living for the future that might hopefully does come and is better. My body will not trust me. My body will not trust that I am getting us out of whatever it is we're trying to get away from if I don't do good stuff for me now. Like, I need to buy the apple I like at the grocery store, even if it's not the one that's on sale this week. When my friends invite me to something that I really want to go to and I can get the day off work, I need to say yes to that. When I want somebody to brush my hair for me instead of me doing it, I need to put that in the budget because if I don't treat myself good now, how is my body, how is my brain, how is my spirit going to trust that I'm taking us where I said we're taking us? So why are you waiting to live? Live, please, a little bit. Now don't drink champagne every day. That's no. Don't buy the triple organic 17 pack of apples if you live by yourself. But you can get one or two of the ones you like. Build in joy, build in fulfillment, build in happiness today.
I challenge you. You're listening. You're still here. What would bring you joy today? Take some inventory. Like, and that's not punitive. Like, I take inventory all the time. It's like, what's working for me? What's not? And sometimes things that were working for me last week aren't working anymore. And so I have to make adjustments. And then sometimes those adjustments, months down the road, I need to go back to some things that I got rid of before. Like it is constantly growing and evolving. But if you don't have the intention and you don't take inventory, you don't really have a place to start. And so, like, take inventory. What's working for you? What's not working for you? Look at the budget. Do you know how much it costs to live your life at your bare bones, even? Do you even make enough for that? If not, like, what adjustments do we need to make? It's not, isn't, we don't have to just keep getting rid of and getting rid of and getting rid of until our life costs a dollar. There are
No,
many
please
ways
go make money. Please. I
there,
actually
right?
I hate cutting expenses. That's my least favorite thing to do. I hate cutting expenses because first of all, my budget's so well calibrated. I don't even have much to cut anyway. And so like let's go get you some more money. If it means we get you a training program, if it means we find something that can improve your your resume, if we figure out that you do have a ton of transferable skills, if we get you a side hustle, and it doesn't have to be for the rest of your life, it could be for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, just to change the direction that things are going in. Like, let's go get you some more money. It's, you know how much money there is in the world? There's so much money. So much.
Right? Go get yours. Right? There's so many legal and ethical ways to do it. And if you've done shady stuff in the past, great. There were skills that you developed in that time and place that all you have to do is change the lens and extract, okay, how did I do that? What skills did I need? And then I guarantee you'll almost find out 9 times out of 10, most people who've done shady things learn that they would be really great in sales because they already
Mhm.
have the skills and now they have something that is legal and above the board that they can be proud of and use the same gosh darn skills that they used when they were slinging stuff and doing stuff on the streets.
Seriously. So one of my one of my things I do on Instagram is called the hashtag hip hop MBA, because I always joked that I got some of my best business lessons from the Migos. Be like, we sell a different product, but those tactics work. What Jeezy says worked in the street works in boardrooms. It really does. Go listen to some hip hop. Hashtag hip hop MBA.
Right. You know what? I love that. I've been saying this for a while. I'm actually doing a training next week with a girlfriend of mine who has a nonprofit. She works in a school system with like kids from troubled homes. And a lot of them do not believe that they have transferable skills and that they are going to end up like their parents. And so the thing that I'm actually going in to talk with them next week about is one, identifying what they want their life to look like because no one's ever asked them. They've never had an opportunity to dream beyond how are we keeping the lights on today, right? And then identifying all the skills that they have, whether they've done things to keep the lights on or they've watched their family keep a roof over their head. And then show career paths that they can go use those skills that they have been collecting their whole life through survival mode and transferring them into the rest of the world where someone else can pay them above the board in a way that they've never been paid before to do bigger things for their families.
Oh, I love that. Please connect me, because what people are frequently impressed by, and it's surprising to me. They're like, "How is it that you can interact with the prisoner the same way you can interact with the president of this company?" And I said, "Well, because I have experience with both." And there are people who have only interacted with presidents of companies and never with a prisoner. And so you got an advantage. You know how to talk to people who don't have stuff and who have had to make interesting choices or who've had bad circumstances. So you got an advantage because your range is wide, full range.
Yes. Let me write that down. Actually, I'm gonna write that down. Darla with Anita. Cool. Yeah, 100%. I thought you were going to say, because I say this all the time, because people are like, don't you get nervous when you talk to like VPs? When I worked in a company and I would like talk to the VP and ask him how his wife was and how his kids were doing. And they're like, you just talk to him? Do you guys? And it's like, he puts his pants on just like me. The same with the kind lady that used to take out my trash. Like, she wakes up in the morning, puts her clothes on, and comes to work just like me. There's literally no difference between her or the VP of this company. We are all humans who came to work today to do a job.
Yep.
Like, is there a time I worked in nuclear power? I kept people's lights on. So, yes, there was a time and a place for hierarchy and chain of command, right? Time and place. But in between those, we're all humans. We're all trying to provide for our families. We're all trying to exchange our skills and services for income and a paycheck. Anyway, I digress. And so,
Yeah. And what also helps me is I tend to think I'm the smartest person in the room, for better or worse, but it really helps me move in a way where like nobody can shake me. I'll be like, that's interesting that you think that way.
maybe I need to borrow a little bit of that. I just always assume we're all the same. Like everyone in this room is on the same page. Like they might know something that I don't know, but I definitely know some things that they don't know. And when we all come together and use our strengths, kind of like Captain Planet, when our powers
Oh, yes.
combine, like when our
Captain
captain
Planet.
powers combine, like we
Powers.
will do magical things.
Yeah,
I
I
truly
agree.
believe that to my core.
I
Ah,
agree.
Darla, how do people connect with you?
Oh, okay. The easiest way to find me is at howtoaffordeverything.com. Or if you just Google Darla Bishop, my SEO is on point.
Cool. Also, I learned this before the show, which I think is so cool. You can find her book in Target. Her in Target.
Target.com. That's
Target
right.
and her friends, which I just think is so cool. As a business owner, I think it is so cool when I get to see other people winning. And that was a really cool freeze frame that the internet gave me right there. It's so cool. Now, as we're wrapping up the show, Darla, we've been a lot of places. I forgot we were recording at one point. Like I was such in a conversation with you. Is there anything that is left on your heart that we haven't talked about, or any final words you want to leave with our listeners today?
There's one thing, and hopefully I can send you the picture for the show notes that we talked about. We didn't get to is, why are you waiting to live? And the reason I ask you that is life is both the longest thing you'll ever do and the shortest. So why are you waiting to live? Stop waiting. Do something today that makes you happy, that makes you feel good, and is legal and ethical.
Mm, you know what? With that, that's humans talking, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this episode as inspiring and actionable as I did. If you're ready to stop just surviving and start living a life where your health, your relationships, and your career work together without the burnout, then it's time that you join the Modern Women's Society. Inside, I'll walk you through my life GPS system, a proven blueprint to help you have it all while thriving. You'll gain tools, coaching, and the kind of clarity that brings big dreams to life without the stress, overwhelm, guilt, and shame that the modern woman is used to. We're going to create a life where you feel energized and excited to wake up every day and fulfilled when you put your head on the pillow. Click the link below to learn more and join countless other women who are redefining success on their terms. Because the life you've dreamed about is closer than you think. I'll see you on the inside.